Hey guys, welcome back to Every Thursday live on LinkedIn here with John Lee. So great to see you guys here on a Thursday. Hope you had a good week no matter where you are. We are now up to episode 16 of our series live with John Lee's here on LinkedIn, YouTube and Facebook. So no matter where you're watching, John and I both thank you all for tuning in every week. We thank you for jumping in the comments, the messages we get after the show. And some of you who've reached out to John directly yourself, thank you so much. So episode 16, there is over 16 hours of content for you guys made by John and presented by John for you all out there. And I think there's never been a more important time than right now to be learning more about how we can serve our customers and generate sales more than ever before. So guys, just a couple of housekeeping things. If you see me looking this way, I'm engaging you guys in the comments, but I'm going to bring John straight into today's broadcast. So how are you today, John? How are you this evening from California?
Sorry, what was that?
I said, how are you this evening?
I'm okay, thank you. You mentioned that I'll be talking for 16 hours. It is only 30 minutes, I hope.
Yeah, but I know
I can do 16 hours, and don't get me wrong. I'm happy to do 16 hours. In fact, we can make it more than that if you like. I don't mind.
Okay. I think we should do 24 hours at stage. A 24-hour show could actually go quite well.
Okay. No, I'm fine, thank you. Apart from a headache that I've had because of the smoke that we've had from the fires, catastrophic fires, probably nowhere near as bad as Australia, but nevertheless terrible for people, terrible for animals. And it's sort of, and one of the major problems is, and I'm sure it's the same in Australia, is that many of the fires are inaccessible. The fire people can't get to them.
Yep.
They got planes going over and that kind of thing, dropping water, but they just couldn't get at it. And the winds added to the problem. And so then we had, in this area here, where I am in Northern California, a week of lots of smoke in the air.
Yep.
I think that's probably what caused my headaches. I don't know, but it's very little compared to what people have gone through down there.
Yeah, I mean, look, our thoughts with everyone in California. We do share a lot of similar climate and environment in some ways. So, we hope I hope you start feeling better anyway, John, from the headache. But just at the start, I did a bit of a review during the week, and just for everyone out there, you can go and watch all the shows John and I have put together every Thursday in a specific playlist on my YouTube channel. And I'll tidy up the back end of that in the next couple of days. But there's over 16 hours of sales, marketing, customer service content there for everyone to go and have a look at and review. There'll be episodes in there you might want to watch again. But there's over 16 hours of free available information there for everyone in business. So thanks again, John. And I'll hand it over to you for today's session, which is all about unique selling ideas for creating market and company success.
Thank you very much, Simon. Thank you.
I'm going to disappear.
Beg your pardon?
I said I'm going to disappear this way, but I'll talk to you guys in the comments over here. Before I do, John, very quickly, quick hello to George in Sydney, Yasmin in Melbourne, and Paul in Melbourne. And I'll chat to you guys in the comments over here, and I'll remove myself from the screen now and hand it over to John.
Okay, thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. Or good afternoon, wherever you happen to be. One of the questions that I've been asked on a regular basis is how did you start in business? How did you get to be an entrepreneur? How did you get to be a genius? Okay, here's the story. It all happened, or started, should I say, when I was 11 years old. What happened was my dog died. And my mother and father said, John, it was your dog. You must bury the dog. So I said, okay. So I started digging a hole for the dog. It's only a little dog. And after digging for about, 20 minutes, my mother came out and said, the scoutmaster, the local scoutmaster's on the phone. He needs to talk to you. So I said, okay. So I then put the dog on the blade of the spade and I went into the house. I took the call, came back, and by mistake, it was an accident, I stepped on the handle of the spade, thus projecting the dog into the air and over our fence. It catapulted him really over our fence and into the oncoming path of a gentleman driving a Mercedes-Benz. When I got outside, the guy was out of his car. He said, "Is that your dog, son?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm so sorry. I really am so sorry. I didn't even see it coming. Here's £20. Give your dog a nice funeral." So that was the day that I became an entrepreneur, really, because I earned about £120 that day. There you go. I hope that's not wrong. And so I earned £120, not only due to my marketing entrepreneurial ability, but also to the help of my mother's sewing kit. Because to be honest, it did get messy, which was my undoing in the end, because the last guy that hit the dog said, "No wonder it didn't see me. It's got buttons for eyes." A mistake on my part. But anyway, there you go. That's how I got started. So today's session is about how to create success for customers and for ourselves. And I'm going to go through some ideas with you that I hope you find to be helpful and interesting. So the very first one is called 6 Steps to a Sale and Mutual Success. So I'm going to take you through it now. And I believe it's a very important set of steps. It's not only interesting in terms of discussion, but also visual. So I hope you can use it. Here we go, for yourself or for your team. Okay, so the first, of course, is the introduction. If you're, obviously I'm assuming here that we've got salespeople who are going to market, but if you have to make phone calls and things like that, it's equally important to have the right kind of introduction. And the introduction must be brief, and it must be focused on improvement and not change. People don't like change. It threatens everything that they've become comfortable with, including their current suppliers and so forth. So we have to make it absolutely clear, nothing that I have to say to you will have anything to do with interference. We're only interested in improvement. Okay, so I just assume from the outset that you, we go through the whole thing and we move up to the second step, which is purpose. No. What I mean by that is what I'm not here to talk about. I'm not here to talk about the fact that you should change your supplier, because I assume that you've got a good supplier, they've done a good job, they're helpful to you, they're trustworthy, etc. So I'm not here to talk about that, okay? My purpose of my call is to talk to you about an opportunity for improving business. And that's all of us are interested in that. So that's what I want to talk to you about. So we start by an introduction, making it clear that we're not going to mess around with their current situation when we get to see them. And by the way, you've got to be able to understand what doesn't work when you are talking to people. So one piece of advice I would give you is, when you're with customers, ask them, what do you dislike most about calls that you get from people who want to come and see you and talk to you and sell to you and so forth? Tell me, what are you, because these people have got lots of experience and maybe they haven't written it down or put it into memory, but many of them will know what works and what doesn't work. And it's vital for you to know. It's vital for me to know exactly what works. And you either are interested in that kind of thing or you're not. Otherwise, it's all, make it up as you go, hope for the best. I don't believe in that kind of thing. Medical people don't believe in that kind of thing. Neither do I. So the reason I'm here is I'm not here to talk about your current situation and the fact that we would like to change it so you come over to us. That is not what I want to talk about, because I assume, as I said, that your current supplier or suppliers are trustworthy and helpful and so forth. So I have nothing bad to say about them at all. What I have to say that's good is that we specialize in helping people to get better results, and I'm sure you're interested in that. So my story is all about how to get better results and what have you. And then you start with the kind of result that can be achieved relative to the size of the business that you're talking about, the industry that you're in, and so forth. This is absolutely vital because, as I've said before in previous sessions, if you want to get results, good results, you must sell good results. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do is talk about what result we can achieve for people. That's what either gets their attention or it doesn't. Don't meander, don't wander off into detail that people are not interested in. Tell them the result right from the start. My belief, based on your kind of business, in your kind of industry, and the approximate size of your business, I don't know the exact nature of your business, but of course you do, but I've got a pretty good idea of it. Based on your size, your type of industry, your type of business, and based on our experience in helping customers to achieve better results, the result that I believe is possible for you is, and then you name the result, okay? And you say, okay, now, that's the result. And it's not guesswork. It's based on all of our experience. Now, I want to talk to you about the plan that we use to achieve this result, because it isn't simply a statement. This result is projected to happen, and now I want to explain to you what we do along with you to make sure that it actually happens. So people need to know, well, okay, what steps do you take in order to achieve the result? And we go through the plan with them. So you must have a plan, very simple plan, but a very interesting, helpful plan that people can look at and say, okay, well, that makes sense. Because talking about a result without a plan is a waste of time. Talking about a plan without a result is a waste of time. Okay, so, and then what we have to do is manage success. So in other words, once the plan is in its phase, and part of the plan, by the way, I should just itemize, is a test. So that's another thing that people will feel good about. I'm not suggesting that the plan that I have here is going to stop what you do currently. I want to introduce you to a test, say for a month, for 3 months, whatever we agree is going to work. And then if that test works out well, then we can talk about the possibility of continuity. And by the way, I will keep in touch with you to make absolutely sure that the result and the plan that we have are working and creating the results that we want. Now, if they're not, if there's some sort of problem, then we need to know that. And that's why we have this stage in the 6 steps. Very important. If, on the other hand, things are going particularly well and you need more product, then I can organize that, of course. So the 6-step plan is very important. It's easy for salespeople to understand. And it's important to understand that every time they go out on a call, we've got to get them to understand how to introduce themselves, because this is a major problem. This is the first hurdle, and most people fall at this hurdle. Hi there, my name is, and I'm from such and such a company, and I was just wondering if I could come around and have a talk to you about what we do and who we do it with and what have you, and would that be okay? And you know what the reply will be, because there is absolutely no sense of common sense in such an introduction. It's apologetic, tentative. salespeople get 10 out of 10 for being tentative if they're not careful. And that's how I was to start with, until I started to learn from customers, as I said before. Find out what doesn't work, find out what does work, learn what not to do and what to do. And so we go through these steps, and the salespeople have to be taught these steps. We have to sell these steps to them. They have to buy the steps, and then they have to be trained in how to use these steps. Okay? You can't expect them to remember the steps. They have to know exactly what they've got to do. They've got to be trained in how to do it, supervised in how to do it, tested in how to do it, until they can't get it wrong. Okay? So this, to me, is very important, that we know what steps we have to take in order to achieve mutual success. Okay, and that's what we're selling, by the way, is mutual success. We're not simply looking after our sales situation, we're looking after the company's success as well, whatever that may be, whether it's making more profit, whether it's making more sales, whatever the case may be. So that's point number one. If you need any help with this, with your sales team, and you would like me to run a session on this and go into detail, I'm more than happy to do so. Next. Ever since I've been in sales, there's been a saying called the numbers game. The more calls you make, the more sales you'll make. Well, not if you use the wrong approach, which is what we were talking about with the 6 steps. If you make the mistake of not knowing how to approach the market, how to introduce yourself, how to state what your purpose is not and what your purpose is, if you are not there to show them results that can be achieved and what has been achieved elsewhere, and you don't have a plan and what have you, the numbers game doesn't mean anything. What it means, in effect, is that the more calls you make, the worse it will get in terms of very poor results and in terms of the demeanor and the motivation of the salespeople, because it gets very depressing. So we have to remove the numbers game from our thinking and talk about the quality game. Okay, we're in the quality business when it comes to selling. Okay, you go to the theater and watch people. They don't have a script in front of them. They've been trained in what to do. They've been sold in what to do. They love doing what they do, and so forth. And we've got to do that in sales in our own particular way. So get rid of the numbers game. Talk about the quality game. The quality of call. The more quality of calls, the more calls you can make, the more success you will have. Next. Oh, I don't think I used that sheet. Okay. Now, here's a very important point. And that point is to learn to downsell. I don't know if you've heard the expression before, but anyway, I included it in an article many years ago. Upselling, as we know, is trying to increase the amount of sale we make to a person. We keep trying to add to it and so forth. Or if they say yes to an idea, then we try to get them to another place, like as if we didn't really mean the first one, and so forth and so on. Downselling is basically what doctors do. Okay? When they have done their diagnosis, when they have got an idea, a strong idea of what you need to do as a patient, then they will start with their best possible and most needed process, strategy. So they'll say something like, okay, what I want you to do is have an x-ray. I will organize that for you. And then we can get a better look at what's going on. Number 2 is to get you some medications that I believe will help. And number 3 is that I'd like you to come back and see me in 1 month from now, and then we can discuss the x-rays and everything else that's got. That's where they start. They start at the end. And that's what any professional should do. And it's entirely possible that the customer might say, well, I don't have the time to do that. It's fine, okay, then all right, then we'll just do the x-ray or we'll just do the medications, because they understand that person may not be able to do it, but that doesn't mean to say that we should go to the opposite and do the upsell, because it's embarrassing. Apart from anything else, it just doesn't work. Okay, so in all my professional life as a speaker and trainer and consultant and what have you, and people ask me, what does it cost? I start off by saying, well, let me explain first of all what's involved. It's this, and it's this, and it's this, and hopefully in many cases they won't have heard of these ideas, and then I will explain to them that to tell you what the cost is very simple. I have a very simple way of doing it. I just send you an email, okay, with the costs involved and so forth, so you know exactly what they are, and we can go from there. And then I begin to explain what it is that I'm offering, as with the doctor. So downsell, don't upsell. Start with the very best possibility, not imaginary, but the very best possibility, and work backwards from there. Okay? Don't upsell, learn to downsell. Next. This is a very, I think it's a very interesting idea. Let me show you something. Okay, so as I've mentioned before, I've written a number of books, 13 books, and like any, I usually start with the title. I start with the title. I think about this as a subject, and then with that title in mind, as with an article, I begin to write about it to the title, to stay honest with the title. So you can't have a title that's false. You have to have a title that relates to what you're going to write about. And so from the writer's point of view, I start with the title and then I write to the title. So here we have a title, Serious Sales Development, with a touch of humor. And humor should be introduced and enjoyed in business. Here's another one. Well, in this one here, we have 1, 2, 3 are the main headings in the title. Sell pleasure first, price last. Okay, that's the title. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 words. Okay. The move from order taker to sales maker. Don't forget, by the way, just as an aside, all of these books are free of charge in PDF format. So anytime you want them, you can email me or Simon, and we can get the books to you. All of the 12 books, 13 books, I should say, are available. Let me get back to this. Here we have The Move from Order Taker to Sales Maker, the first book that I wrote. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 words. Okay, pretty simple. How sales makers win new customers. Very important subject. If you're looking for new business, in here we talk about all the things that I've been talking about today. And we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. And then I think it was the second or the third book I wrote, Successful Sales Management, aimed at the leader of a sales team. Okay. And although some parts of it may not relate to your kind of business, it is basically all about how a manager can be successful in leading the team, giving them ideas, giving them confidence, and so forth and so on. So what you've witnessed here are a number of books that start with the title, and then we go to the back cover. And the back cover features a little bit of detail in every case. Okay, but the front cover is critical. So the back cover describes what's in the book. The front cover is a promise of what they will get out of the book. Okay, so the book title test is very simple. You've heard of the what's it called, the elevator pitch, where someone takes, say, a minute or 45 seconds to, if you ask them, what do you do? And then they will take maybe 45 seconds to a minute to explain to you. Okay. The book title test says, ask the team at a sales meeting, tell them that you, just as an imaginary situation, I want you to imagine that you're writing a book about our company and what we can do for people. So I want you to come up with not a book, but a book title. Okay, and that book title should, if seen by the market, be very, very interesting and captivating. Okay, and you can give them some examples if you like. If you need, to get my list of books and use the same thing that I've been talking about, that's no problem. I can do that. It's a piece of cake. So just tell them. I want to know. If you were going to write a book about our company, what would you say? Because you can't get too many words. I'll give you maybe 6 to 8 words maximum. What would you say about our company? Now, this puts the cat amongst the pigeons. It's a very interesting exercise. Now, the first time I tried this was with a bunch of senior insurance people. All very nice, very professional people. And we did this at a conference. And we gave them an hour to discuss their various titles and what have you. Every single title related to the company, but not to the customer, not to the customer's potential success. So what we have to do is, we're not doing the book title test to get angry with our staff. We're getting to understand, what do they think of our company and what it does for people. So you only got 6 to 8 words in your title. What would you say? And we know you're not an expert at this, but come up with a title. You've got half an hour. Okay, think about it. Ask any questions that you'd like to, and then I'd like you to spend half an hour as a team talking about your various titles and so forth. And then we will meet in total to discuss your thoughts and feelings about the titles that you came up with. Okay? So try it. It's a very interesting exercise because, as I said, the natural mindset of most people is us. And remember, I've said in the past, the most important mentality you can have is them and us. Them is the marketplace. Okay, that's why I said earlier, talk to customers, find out what kind of sales calls they like, what kind of sales calls they hate, what kind of sales calls they hate, and the kind of calls that really have influenced them and been very helpful to them, sales calls that they can remember vividly because of how powerful they were or how pathetic they were. Okay, and so them and us, very important. The only way us are here is because of them. There is no other reason. So for us to be successful, we have to sell success. That's what we're here to do. Not access. Access to products is a piece of cake. Musical chairs. You've got all the supplies you need. Okay? All nice people. All well-meaning people. Okay? So the only way you can change that usually is if they have a problem with a supplier or if you've got something cheaper. But that's not good business. You can get some business that way, but that's not it. So do the book title test and see what your team come up with. I'd be very interested to hear what they have to say, by the way. Very interested. So if you want to send me some examples, that's fine. And don't use this, as I said, to criticize people. Use it to maybe just talk with me about it, and I'll help you come up with a title that makes very clear what our purpose is and what the interest of this particular book is. So if anybody in business was in a bookstore or saw it on Amazon or whatever, they would look at this title and say, that is something I'd like to know more about. Then they would open up the book, look at the back page, etc., etc. And obviously, we're not talking about the back page and the internal part of the book. But as I said, the first thing that people look at, and when you go into a bookstore, this is what is displayed. Not this. We don't display the back page. We display the front page. And if the front page is enticing and interesting, then people will grab it, look at it, and then go to the back page. Okay? And then they may just open up the book and have a quick look through. But this is what causes the most interest. Okay, so I highly recommend the book title test. Okay, next. Okay, so the final point. I hope it can be said that most companies have happy customers. So what's a happy customer? A happy customer, from my point of view, and I'm sure you've got your view on it, is someone who's quite pleased to be doing business with a particular supplier. They're also happy about the fact that if they call you, you return their call, you promise to help them, you do help them with whatever they talk about. What's there to complain about? There's nothing to complain about. So that's a happy customer. A very happy customer is a customer who, through your involvement, has found a way to get better results. And I can assure you that when you do that, you've got a very happy customer. Because ultimately, inside the company, that's what they talk about. How can we improve results? Okay, and if you are there to help them with that particular challenge, then you will earn that business. If, on the other hand, you simply try to change what they do, you will not get anywhere. Unless, as I said, their current supplier is lousing up, but why would they be doing business with them? Okay, so don't forget that people, you're ringing them, they're not ringing you. Okay, if they wanted change, they wanted a new supplier, then they would ask, but they're not. So we really have to get their attention. Remember the AIDA process. Attention, get their attention, get their interest. Okay, so their attention is, I'm not here to blah, blah, blah. Interest, I want to talk to you about results, very good results, this kind of result. Okay, next go to desire, because when they see a better result and it makes sense, it's logical in intelligence, then they will be very interested. And then finally, action, AIDA, A-I-D-A, the AIDA principle. Okay, so don't go for happy customers. Make it a rule in the business. We don't want happy customers. We like happy customers. What we need and what they need is to be very happy customers. A very happy customer is someone who really knows that you go out of your way to help them. I'm going to give you 3 quick examples. In one of the first sessions that we did, I mentioned an incident that happened when we bought our first small house in Australia. And you may recall that I said that we put a pool in for the kids and they made a terrible mess of the garden. And in about a year before we could get afford a landscaper, so we brought 3 landscapers in to give us quotes. Pretty standard sort of procedure. First 2 guys came in separately, very nice guys. Nothing you could see was wrong with anything they did. Yes, Mr. Lees, what do you want? Okay. Like as if the customer knows exactly what they need, but they don't. They know what they want. So I told them, bush rock, paving, shrubs around the pool. Okay. Do you have a price in mind, a cost in mind, a budget in mind? I didn't, but I gave them one. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. And I'll be back and I'll give you a quote. Thank you. And they did. Both of them. Very nice. Exactly the same behavior. They came back. They gave me a quote on exactly what I said I wanted. Bush rock, paving, shrubs. Was there any complaint? Not at all. Very nice guys, very helpful. Then the third guy came along and he said, Mr. Lees, tell me, first of all, thank you for asking me to come around. What did you have in mind? Tell me, Mr. Lees, what did you have in mind for the landscaping? So that really opens up the whole thing right from the very start. It allows me to put on the table what I'm thinking, and then allows room for him to put on the table what he's thinking. And I hope he's got more things to think about and to say than I have, because I don't know anything about landscaping, and I don't want to. So the guy said, yes, so Mr. Lees, what did you have in mind? And I said, and I just told him exactly what I told the other guys, bush rock, paving, shrubs. And he said, okay, that sounds very nice. Thank you. Approximately, not what did you want to spend, approximately, what did you have in mind to spend? I told him exactly what I told the other two guys. And then he said, do you mind if I ask some questions? I said, not at all. He said, okay. And then he started asking questions about how often we entertained, how did we entertain, and a few others that I can't remember. And then he went away, and then he came back with two quotes. The first quote was for what I said I wanted. Never ignore what a customer says they want. So I told him, and the first quote was for what I said I wanted. Bushrock, paving, shrubs at the price nominated. But then, and he gave me a sketch of the garden with my requirements built in. Not a detailed drawing, just a very simple diagram. And then he gave me a second quote. And the second quote was for the bushrock paving, etc. But it also had a river pebble garden around the garden. And at the back of the garden, a barbecue made out of sandstone brick. Price 50% more. Well, as I told you at the session we did, it was one of the earliest sessions we did. You know, we decided to buy that one. That's the one we decided. But we had two choices. We could go with what I wanted, and he talked about what we wanted and what we needed, because he's the landscape expert, not me. Okay, so I was a very happy customer. Very happy, and so was my wife, because we got the best he had to offer. Okay, so always remember, look for very happy customers. Another very simple exercise that someone told me about, a lady in a pharmacy told me about. She had a customer come in, and she went over to a shelf and she bought a coloring product. She took it to the counter, and the lady serving said, this is a very good product. I hope you find it to be helpful. Let me just explain to you that, and then she went and got some other products. These products will not attack the color in your hair. What they will do is help the color to keep its look, its shine, and what have you. So this one is here, a special shampoo for colored hair. This is a conditioner, etc. Guess which one the customer bought? Okay, that's downselling. Okay, and downselling creates very happy customers. The customers were delighted, by the way, because she didn't know anything about those products. Does she deserve to? I believe she should. And the third one was very interesting. I was in touch with a print company, and they had been asked, along with other print companies, to put in a quote for X amount of pages for a very sizable project that they were working on. And you know, they all put in their, all the would-be suppliers put in their quotes, pretty similar apparently. And then the third guy said to them, there's my quote for what you asked for. Okay, let me just put that on one side for a minute. The second way of looking at this is if we reduce the weight of the paper by just, and then he nominated the weight, the very small weight involved. If we can reduce the weight of the paper by, they told them what it was, then we can save, and then he told them how much they could save, which was an enormous amount. And he said it won't spoil anything that they're looking at, touch, feel, view, nothing, but it will save you a lot of money. Have a guess who they did business with. Okay, that's a very happy customer. So I'm going to leave it at that. So just remember the 6 steps. Very important to know how you make a sale from the start to the end and make it interesting. Don't go along with the numbers game, go along with the quality game. Don't upsell, downsell. Otherwise, you're not taken seriously. Go through the book title test with your staff. Listen to what they have to say. Find out what they need to learn about the company and help educate and motivate them on that. And make it your aim in the company to go for very happy customers, not just happy customers. Thank you for listening. And as Simon said, you can get a link covering this talk today. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you very much, John. Another great session. I enjoyed that. John, I've got a question for you, actually. That comes from someone close to me, and it's clearly not coming from me, and it is related to hairdressing. Hey, this week I experienced something here in Melbourne with someone that I know. I was chatting to them, and they have a regular hairdresser who has been closed during the lockdown, and the hairdresser is obviously reopening. And they sent a message out to everyone to say, we don't have time to call all of our clients, but if appointment to rebook, please get in touch with us. From a customer service and marketing perspective, how would you kind of look at that type of approach with a customer, especially when the environment that we're in right now? What was your advice to that business?
Well, could you just remind me what she said, what they said in the note? Was it an email or what?
Yeah, it was a text message and then a post onto their social media pages, basically saying, look,
okay,
we're not going to be able to call everyone, so please get in touch with us. What would be your thoughts on that?
Well, my belief is to tell people that you're reopening. You are very much looking forward to meeting our former customers and new customers. We've been studying new ideas to help people look even better, and we'd be happy to share those ideas with you. But the main thing is that we're reopening and we're keen to get going with you. So please give us a call, and we will look forward to booking you in and working with you to get the best possible result.
Yeah. And John, if you were the salon owner, would you be actually hitting the phone and calling all your customers yourself too?
What was that again? Sorry?
I said, if you were the salon owner, would you be hitting the phones and calling all your customers as well?
Whatever you can do. Absolutely. It's a question of how urgent the whole thing is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, we talked about with the numbers game and what have you. You can play at it if you want to, but if you want to be serious, then get on the phone and and talk to clients and let them know that you are here and ready to go, and you're sorry about what happened, but this was in the lap of the gods and so forth. So here we go.
Yeah. And finally, the last point really resonated with me in my previous life being a builder. I would certainly recall many occasions sitting down with a client, and I'm glad you explained, or you shared the story today again with your experience, because that's exactly, the approach that you tried to look at was, okay, well, this is what they want. With our experience, we can offer something else. So personally, John, that one really resonated with me, and it was nice to hear that story again.
Yeah, well, as I've said before many times, the essence of good business, or good selling, I should say, is recognizing the first gap, the first service gap, and the second service gap. Okay, first service gap, very important. Second service gap is far more important. First service gap is for what people want. Okay, and there we attend to them. And the second service gap, the second gap is where we not only attend to them, but we achieve for them. So you're either an achiever in business, or you just get in the lineup of suppliers. And the second gap, the first gap is full, absolutely full to overflowing. There's no room. So unless you've got a better price, forget it. The second gap is absolutely critical. And if you have 3 lifetimes, you won't even get close to fulfilling all the needs, all of the potential, and so forth. Which is why when we get new products coming our way, brand new products that we've never heard of before, we say, let's go for it, because we're looking for something new and something better and so forth. Now, I have a question for you. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, yeah, I was just going to ask one question quickly about the book title test too, if I may. In your consulting time, have you had times where you've had a team together and they have really struggled to come up with a book title? And if so, what's been the main reason, or what are a couple of the reasons you can pinpoint when they can't come up with a decent book title?
Well, I've done it several times, and most companies and most people cannot come up with a good title. First of all, as I said, to write a book, you've got to have a title. To have a title, you have to have motivation. You have to be able to say, I believe this is a very important point for people to be reading. So you put in the title first, and then you write to the title. Most companies and most staff, and they don't mean to do this, by the way, are intoxicated by their own company and their own needs. their own targets. For instance, most companies have targets for what they want to achieve, but they don't have targets for what they must achieve for customers. How about that?
Yeah.
They have their own targets, but they don't have targets for their customers, which is what I was saying before. When you go and you sell a result, that's the target, that's the result. Okay. So, yeah, I think it's very important to help staff to understand the starting point in this company is outside the company. It's in the marketplace. Otherwise, we have no right to be here. Now, we can get by, we can make a little bit of money here and there and so on, but that's boring. What we have to do is to be thinking about the future for people and also understanding how to gain entry into their business to have a discussion with them about it, because they get it all day long.
Yep.
And they don't want to hear from anyone else unless our approach is completely different and better.
Yep. Yep. No, it's another great session today.
That's why I mentioned the 5-minute meeting. Sorry, that's why I mentioned the 5-minute meeting. I would like to see you talk about not who your current supplier is, because I assume they're very good and very helpful. I want to talk to you about the possibility of significantly improved results. It takes me 5 minutes to explain what that is. If it is of interest, then I will continue and explain how it's achieved. And then I explain that we do a test of it to make sure it works properly, so you don't have to leave your current supplier. Okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you very much again, John. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in again this week. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you like the show, don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe, hit notifications, and you'll get notified before every live show. You'll get all the little reminders as we lead up to 11 a.m. every Thursday. And don't forget, there's over 16 hours of resources for you guys sitting over there on the YouTube channel. You can access any of the shows that John and I have put together. And as always, you can reach out to John. His email address is across the bottom of the screen there now, info@johnlees.com.au. You can request any of the 13 books that John has written. There's a PDF version of all the book titles that you can have a look at. And there's one, choose two. I've been very happily making them available for free for our audience. And I know some of you guys out there have also asked some specific questions to John, and some of you might have engaged his services as well. So as always, guys, hope you have an awesome finish to the week. It's Thursday here in Australia, Wednesday evening in California. We thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you all again next Thursday, live with John Lees.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, John.